Welcome to the CEO Shift with your host, Shondell Spader, owner and CEO of Spader Group. In this series, you'll hear fast, focused conversations with business leaders and experts who've made the real shifts needed to scale past the plateau. Each episode delivers CEO-level insight in 15 minutes or less, because real growth doesn't need more noise, just better decisions.
Hello, welcome to the CEO Shift. I am excited today to be introducing Erik Jensen, who is the co-owner of Predictive ROI, a seven-figure marketing agency helping agencies sell more of what they do so they can future-proof their agencies. A business owner since age 14, Erik began his entrepreneurial journey via a national juggling business that took him and his brother around the country. I can attest to this because Erik did actually teach me how to juggle in less than 5 minutes. I don't know that I can do it anymore, but he did. And he's
Still
now the
counts.
chief, right? I knew it at one point, right? So Erik is now the chief strategy officer at Predictive ROI. And Erik developed a podcasting strategy that made the agency over $2.5 million, which was featured in the book Profitable Podcasting. Erik, thank you for being here today. I'm super excited to have you on and having you share with our audience today.
I am excited to be here, and there won't be any juggling today, but we'll talk about other things a little bit more important to CEOs. So it'll be
Ooh, I
good.
might have a recording of you juggling, however.
Is that gonna end up in the resources now?
Oh, I don't know. It might maybe we'll have to put it out there on auction. We'll see how much money it can raise.
I like that idea, actually.
All right, maybe we'll get there. It'll be a surprise. How much money can Erik's juggling earn?
Don't tell me if it's low.
Fair, fair. All right, I think we should probably step into zone of genius here because otherwise we are really going to be juggling on screen. So tell me and our audience today, Erik, what is your zone of genius? What is that expertise and that area of focus that you want to share today?
Yeah, so the area of genius, which it feels egotistical to say that, but something that I spend a lot of time working with our clients on is really about the process of niching down, what that does for the business, what you have to shift mentally in order to be able to take advantage of the niching process, how you enact that in a business from a sales and an operations perspective. There's a lot of different facets that go into niching down, and for good reason. It can scare a lot of business owners and a lot of
Guilty.
CEOs. But on the other hand, when you start to see all of the benefits that come from it, when you start to see the opportunities, and not just from like a simplifying everything in your mind, but really simplifying everything for a business and a sales process and an operations process and a revenue process. Um, it's worth being a little bit scared for, because the best companies niche down.
Yeah, well, okay, so as you know, like when we first met, we weren't niche down. We were kind of like think what I think our tagline was like we help service-based industries, right? Which with your help has been so much better with kind of pushing me over that edge. So as I said, I was guilty of being really scared of this niching down idea, and the work that we've done together with yourself and your team has made a world of difference for Spader Group and being able to streamline across the board, right? It wasn't just who we were serving, but I love how you make a point of like it streamlined all these different areas. And I have to say, like, we would not be where we are today without working with your team.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Yeah, and you get it right firsthand
Yeah.
from CEO when it comes to even something as simple as onboarding and training an employee.
Hmm.
If you're trying to do 17 different things, or you're even trying to serve 14 different types of clients, it takes
Yeah.
so much more time to be able to get them proficient, to be able to get them comfortable, for them to even know the vernacular that someone
Right.
needs to understand, right? I mean, so if one of your team members, will just use your service-based businesses before, right? If
Yeah.
one of your folks is working with a lawyer, that's a service-based professional service business, right?
Yep.
And then one of them is working with an auto dealer or an auto repair shop. which is also a service-based business, there's completely different vocabulary,
Right.
language, expectation, business model, profit margins. I mean, everything is so different. And for you to bring in
Well,
a
even down to the way the books are structured. Sorry.
yeah,
Like the books are structured differently. So our literal button clicking day-to-day pieces of responsibility are different.
right. And so something is just as simple as we're bringing on someone in order to increase capacity goes from we now have 3 months worth of training, 2 months worth of training to
Yeah.
2 years worth of training before we really feel like they're ready to go when we've got all these different options that they have to learn.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's probably been one of our biggest areas of improvement too from this work is, getting really clear on who is it that we're serving, what are we doing, how are we doing it, and helping to shorten, one of the tasks that we were working to achieve or have been was shortening our training time with new team members joining. And it's huge. It's absolutely huge and making a difference in what that looks like and helping our team build that confidence even faster. 'Cause
Absolutely.
it's repetitive, but it's still its own, right? So, everybody knows accounting can be boring. We all happen to love it, but
You know
there's
what?
people out there that think it's boring.
Businesses don't run without the boring. So
Fair, fair. We
it's
try to make it
important.
fun.
Yeah. And
So,
and I think part of the reason is, when we're talking about this, it probably makes pretty intuitive sense um, to most CEOs that are listening to this of like, oh, okay, yeah, it makes training someone easier. Well, it also makes the operations easier to build around that
yeah,
training. It
yep,
makes your QA checking easier because you know what it is that you're looking for. You can
mhm,
do faster and better research as far as modifications of those
right,
operations or being able to put out really great work because now you have apples to apples comparison versus apples to oranges comparisons.
yeah,
Makes your sales and marketing so much more effective, right? Because
yeah,
if you have the choice between, we'll just say again, I'm the auto repair shop. If I have the option to go with someone who specializes in auto repair shops and they speak my language and their website shows my sort of graphics. They know the titles of all the people in the shop that I run and how important they are and roughly what they should be paid, all the things, right?
yeah,
Versus someone who goes, we help everybody. If I have those two companies sitting in front of me and they're comparable, who am I going to choose?
right. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. You're gonna go with the one who can speak your language, and there's less friction
Right.
of getting to know one another. So to your point, just to, like bring it one step further, I this morning, super random that it was this morning, but I was on a call with someone who is an agency owner
Hmm.
and not once, but twice throughout the conversation, very subtly, but twice throughout the conversation asked, you do work with agencies specifically, right? Yep. Okay, so
Yeah.
how much of your business is working with agencies specifically, right? And it's cool to be able to say like, and I was totally transparent with this person and said like, it used to be, that we had a very small percentage of agencies that we worked with, but we found that we really enjoyed working with them and all of the things, right? So it was just really neat to kind of see that as I was able to say, yes, we have niched in, here's our percentages, this is what we're doing, this is how long we've been working specifically with agencies. And all of a sudden he just kind of went, oh, okay. Like you could just see the like, they'll get us. We're good, which was really
Absolutely.
neat.
It makes a huge difference. And I mean, really, when you
Yes.
think about it, especially when you're talking about the work that you do, right?
Hmm.
And Spader Group does in general, that's really critical work. And if it's done poorly, that has all sorts of implications for the business, and none of them good, right? And
Right.
so this is a big decision for a business. It's truly, a life or death for the business decision. And when we think about even something as simple, and this isn't to be mean for anybody that does this. This is a prime example. Even for decisions that are much lower stakes, let's say
Mhm.
going and getting our hair cut. What we want to know is, does that person cut hair for men or women? Do they have
Yeah.
the ability to dye or, do the certain cut that I like? Have I gone to them before and had good experiences? And oh my goodness, when you talk to someone and they have their hairstylist, they're like, I will wait for that person.
Yep.
And that's a relatively low stakes decision in comparison to
Yep.
this could tank my business if I make the wrong decision here. So those indicators of specialization, of experience, of being able to solve similar problems to what it is that that business is facing, absolutely critical. And I will say customer, right? Because everybody views, whether again, we're talking about cutting our hair all the way through choosing who handles the finances in our business, right? We still
I,
want the
I
same
actually think those
indicator.
are more even than you think.
They're more even than I think. Okay.
I mean, my gal moved 4 hours away, and I am so grateful that she still has a tie to town because she still comes to town and she brings her shears every time and she cuts my hair in my kitchen or somebody's kitchen, and it's great.
But again, I love that because that's like a perfect example of in
Yes.
order to do that, you just that indicator of trust. Once trust is there,
Yeah.
you're great. Sometimes in your case, they've already earned the trust and they're just continuing to maintain that trust. But for a lot of purchases, it's trust for the very first time, right? And so
Yes.
it's really good. The main reason why businesses don't do this, the main reason why a lot of CEOs shy away from this is because they're afraid of saying no to a lot of
Mm,
potential business. And that's what niching feels like, is that we're actually shutting the door on potential revenue. And and unfortunately, that can feel really, really real. But the point of niching down, especially at the beginning, like if anybody's interested in starting down this path, and you experience this yourself too, right?
yeah.
It's not to say no to anybody that doesn't fall into your niche. It's to build a process in order to go out and find those that you want to serve in that niche.
Right.
Educate yourself on the vernacular, educate yourself on the events that they go to. Maybe go to those events, pick up some clients, have the case studies that are appropriate for those clients, have those stories ready to go and on the tip of your tongue. Like practice what it takes to be able to niche and
Yeah.
actively go after that niche. Doesn't mean that you have to say no to anybody that swims into your net,
Right.
but it does mean you're fishing for a particular sort of client at the beginning. And it's amazing how fast it can make a difference within an organization. If they're looking to grow, if they're looking to streamline, if they're looking to scale in a way that doesn't make them go nuts, it's a really, really powerful tool.
When we became clear about who it is that we want to work with, the sales process became easier, our onboarding became easier, our management became easier because folks are aligned in the conversation, literally from start to next phase to next phase to next phase. And, you know, and that doesn't even mean that every time we've onboarded the right fit kind of client, that it's gone perfectly, right? Like, I'll
No.
be 100% transparent. We've had some snafus and some things and roadblocks. What the difference is, though, is instead of it turning into this kind of explosion, if you will, it was a conversation. And it was a, oh gosh, yep, let us fix that. Or, oh, this is where we crossed hairs or we had missing information. And again, it was a conversation because we're all working from the same set of goals, core values, and we're just in alignment on so many levels versus you offer a service, I have a need. Sure, let's just make this happen.
Well, and you touch on something that's so critical. So like when you just said, "Yep, we ran into that issue. There was a snafu, there was miscommunication." So after that, you probably modified your processes in order to
Yeah,
make sure that
absolutely.
that doesn't happen again. That iterative learning process and improvement process is so much faster, so much better, and so much more precise for a
Yeah,
niche down target than it is for everybody, right? If all
right.
you're trying to do is sell to anybody that will give you money, your processes are always going to be rudimentary and clumsy compared to somebody that specializes.
Absolutely. No, and it's so important in that regard because when you're working with just anybody, you can very easily take what is a very important learning opportunity and just say, oh, this was specific just to them because of whatever specific to them. And instead of taking that full learning and saying, okay, this happened with this client. what do we get to learn from it? And how do we get to change our processes? Like you said, like we updated our way of doing things because of said issue, complication, whatever it might have been.
Yeah, and a simple example for you guys is just your monthly reporting, right? An agency wants to see their reports in a particular way because their cash flow and their clientele bills and gives them money in a certain way. And understanding that is really important, especially if you compare that to, let's say, a marketing agency that focuses on paid advertising, right? How they need to manage their books and what revenue came in versus what's actually been earned and how much is still held over as to be earned, accrual versus cash. I mean, there's so many nuances
Yeah.
within that agency model versus again, the auto repair shop. Nothing wrong with either business model, but they need very different, even something as simple as monthly reporting.
Right. Right.
So
Everybody, a great example too is we had clients that were the exact same business down to the same four services. One was a partnership, one was a solopreneur. Um, like exact same services. One was like 15 years old, one was 5 years old. Just the difference in what they were paying attention to at their different stages was profound because again, when you think of the same industry, the same business, the same setup, the same everything, except a couple of tweaks, again, ownership style and years in business and just what their goals were, the books were done differently, very differently.
and there's no way you'd been able to notify and notice and change based on that pattern recognition without it being there, right? That comparison, that
Right.
clean comparison. And now, guess what? Your services get to be better moving forward because the next time you run into an agency at that particular lifestyle or that life stage in the business, you're going to be
Mhm.
able to go, hey, we've seen others just like you. And this is typically the sorts of things that we've seen that work
Yep.
really well for folks like you. So now you're not an order taker. Now you're not just a purveyor of tasks.
Right.
Now what you are is you're a trusted strategic partner that can tell them things that they haven't even thought of yet before because
Right.
you've seen it 10 times before or 20 times before
Right.
or 1,000 times before. And that insight is invaluable. Nobody can replace that.
No, you're correct. It has been super eye-opening. As you know, I was like all the scary feelings, all the emotions, all the like, no, pump the brakes. Eric and Hannah did gently, sometimes not so gently, push me off the cliff, but it was always with love, I think is what Hannah says. But, again, like game changing for how we show up today and how we support clients and what we're able to do and accomplish. And I'm just so grateful. So this leads me to, I know you have 1,000 different stories and examples. I would love to hear like specific story that maybe dives into like either mindset shifting or just something to highlight the conversation that you would love to share. Like what's maybe not the monkey's tail, but
Fair enough. Yeah. So I think the story that I would share with anybody that's a little bit on the fence about this is our own example. And I know that it sounds a little bit weird, but one of the things here at Predictive that we really value is we never suggest to our clients that they do anything that we haven't tested to the nth degree. Okay.
Mm.
So if we say you should do this 10 times, we did it until we broke, right? I mean, like we found the limits of everything and everything that we suggest. And with this, the niching down process, I can map in our revenue and our profitability every time we niche down further. Every time we niche
Mhm.
down further, we were more profitable. Every
That's
time
awesome.
we niche down further, the sales cycle got shorter. And I mean, these nuances aren't always big, right? So just a couple of years ago, we helped agencies, coaches, and consultants because their business models are so similar, right?
Right.
It feels like they should have tons of overlap. And there were a lot of people that were sort of in both camps, right? No, they're wildly different. Right. When we niche down and we got that closer look at what those business models were like, just like we talked about earlier, right? That iteration,
Right.
seeing the patterns because you see it so close
Yep.
together. And we realized, wow, no, these are vastly different. Where do
Yep.
we want to be? Where do we want to focus? And we made the decision, it's agencies, it's marketing agencies. That's where we love the clients. We love the work. We can be the most impactful,
Yep.
and our numbers show it, right? And we can show that with clients. We can show that when clients are stepping into a brand new niche that they've never actually served before, even, which can sound really intimidating.
Yeah.
But with big economic shifts and market shifts, there's a lot of folks that are needing to make some of those decisions. And if they just kind of do a broad shift of away from this because it's not working anywhere to anywhere that will hire us, the shift is so slow and so painful
Yeah.
versus those
Yeah.
that make the brave decision of we're going to focus here, and they do the legwork of proving that out. They've got some stories, they've got some examples, and then they pursue it. Their time to shift as far as profitability within those niches, it's cut in half or more.
Yeah. No, that's a great insight. And so, I mean, we've witnessed it in our own work that we've done over the last few years with niching down and really diving into the agency world. I I mean, I'm biased, of course, but agency owners are so much fun to work with because while the agency space is, we've got the similarities and we've niched down into the agency world, agency to agency still has so many variables depending on what exactly they're offering at their agency, right? Like there's just so many layers that you still get that layer of, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, like the variables, right? You still get the variables, you still get to be creative, you still get to be strategic, you still get to think outside the box. You like it's not just the same old, I just want to, I guess my point is it's like niching down doesn't mean it's the same old mundane 10 steps and we
Oh
repeat and
gosh,
rinse and
no.
repeat and rinse and repeat. Like we rinse and repeat some things, but the individual agency owner or, whichever niche you dive into is very much its own unique source. And you
It
still
lets
get
you do
to,
cooler things.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
it does,
that's
because instead of being caught in the how do we do the basic blocking and tackling for all these different variables, it's how
mhm,
do we, because we've managed all these variables already.
mhm,
Now, how do we get to level up? How do we get to do stuff that we've never been
yes.
able to do as a team? How do we do stuff that nobody maybe has ever done as an industry? Like, it gets really exciting and I love that you addressed the
Yeah,
boredom thing. It is far from boring. It is actually the most exciting thing that you can do because now you're
yeah,
no longer limited by, can we do the basics?
yes.
It's now we get it's like an Olympic level athlete, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, you get to change the game.
you get to change the game. You get to do stuff that
Yep,
nobody's done before, right? And you get to do it at a level that others just can't. And so final note before I know we got to come in for a landing here, but
yeah,
we've talked a lot about industry being the lens because that's an
yep,
easy one for people to grasp, and that is research backed. So industry, problem that you solve, geography that you serve, methodology that you have. There's a bunch of them that are research backed, as far as like why somebody would choose a service-based industry. In our case, we're talking agencies.
yep,
Um, but this is true across the board. There's reasons why someone would choose something, but lenses don't have to be just the industry. Like your niche doesn't have to just be the industry. So one of the things that I always like to do is I draw a telescope. And the first exercise we work through with clients is we have them gather their lenses. And you probably remember doing this. Like, what are all the
yeah,
different things that are, unique? It might be the type of person, the title of the person that we work with, the industry that they serve in, the problems that they struggle with, the sorts of reports that they need, whatever it happens to be. Just gather them all. And then you
yep,
get to decide which lenses you want to use in order to have your niche. It doesn't have to be industry. If you hear industry and you're like, nah, can't do that,
yeah,
then find something else to niche down on. That's perfectly okay. It could be software solution. It could be geography. It could be age demographic of the client that you serve. It could be gender. It could be any number of different things. can still serve as a really focused lens so that you can make sure that everything that you're doing is more operationally aligned for what they need.
That's an awesome call out. I like that it gives some options into that niching down, especially if it still feels scary. So,
Mhm.
Erik, I know you can talk about niche for days,
I can.
and I would love to do so. However, as you referenced, we do need to come in for a landing. On the actual final note here, do you have some like freebies that you're wanting to share with the audience here today? And if
Yes.
so, where can they find it?
Yeah, so there are tons of freebies that we have. So probably the best place to look is just go to predictiveroi.com/resources. We've got like 21 resources there. I highly recommend the one that's at the top of the resource page, and that is a copy of the free book that we have. And especially if you are interested in niching down, this book is all about the power of niching down and the power of selling based from an authority position, which is one of the things that niche gives you is the authority to be able to say, we know this space. And we alluded to that throughout this whole conversation of
Yep,
we know more than somebody else because we're specialized here, and
I
makes
love
for
it.
shorter sales cycles, longer client retention, and you can charge more. All that is beautiful as a business.
Absolutely love it. Erik, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm excited for this to go live, and I just appreciate you for being here with us. Thank you.
I'm happy I could be here. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the CEO Shift. Ready to take your next step as a strategic CEO? Download our free 4-step CEO decision guide, the exact framework business leaders use to stop spinning their wheels and start scaling with clarity. Grab your copy at spadergroup.com/CEO-guide and start making decisions like a CEO today.